everyone, it's Sloan Rhodes here. I wanted to offer you some encouragement and some tips today for those of you who are feeling as though you are stagnating or your routine is just monotonous beyond words or you are in a rut. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this today because it truly is an egoic pattern that keeps you in a very depressed state or keeps you in that sort of lower energy, lower level anxiety, like you're never going to break free or you're somehow not in the right space or you're somehow not changing, this kind of thing. And, you know, in terms of the universal oneness, there are no bigs and smalls. There is no having changing your relationship status isn't any bigger or smaller than seeing a leaf fall from a tree in terms of a shift, right, a change. But the mind, the ego, has a spotlight that says, yes, the relationship change is the thing, and the leaf falling from the tree means nothing. It happens every day, right? But it's just your ego, your mind, that tends to focus on this. So one of the ways that you can begin to shift patterns of stagnation or feelings of monotony is to bring it down to the seeming minutia of your life. So let's just start. So let's say you start your work week and you're like, oh, it's Monday again. same old. I gotta, get up, get my coffee, get out the door, blah, blah, blah. So what you can do, you have to bring your conscious awareness to the moment and say, look at this. The light is actually a little different than it was last Monday or even yesterday. When you put your feet up on the floor, they are actually in different spots, hitting the floor differently than they did the previous Monday. The sheets on the bed are crumpled up in a slightly different way. Everything is actually completely different. But the mind, the ego, says it's all the same thing. Because the mind of the ego wants to just kind of have a generalized feeling of lack. But when you can attune to the present moment, when you can bring yourself present, say, this is fascinating. The light is different. The sheets are different. The way that I walk across the room is slightly different. The way that I pour my coffee, maybe the way the light hits the counter is slightly different. When I go outside, that spider web is in a different place. The ants are different. The leaves on the trees are different. The sound of the traffic is slightly different. The cars driving by are slightly different. Everything has actually changed, but the mind, the ego, says that it's all the same thing, right? And the reason it does that is because it allows you to stay in that older pattern of lack, not enough, can't get ahead, right? So it's really a game to play to bring yourself very present as you turn your car on. Your fingers are in a slightly different spot. The light coming in is slightly different. The way you're sitting is slightly different. The birds, the trees, the sky, everything's slightly different. And you can expand upon that. You can revel in that and say, look, everything is so different. It's not the same day. I'm not wearing the exact same outfit in the exact same way. The cars around me are slightly different with slightly different people who are also experiencing their day slightly differently than they did the day before. And the reason it's important to do this in terms of helping you shift out of a feeling of stagnation is because it brings you into the present moment, which, as you know, is truly all there is. It helps you amplify feelings of expansion, curiosity, fascination, recognition of the evolution of life. And as you amplify those energies, you are shifting out of, oh, everything's so monotonous, my life is so stagnant, I'm never going to change, and you recognize where the change exists already. Even by doing the exercise or the game, you are changing. And as you do this, you begin to shift the pattern because you're no longer just doing it by rote, the same old pattern. The rut isn't in the routine. The rut is in the mind. The rut is in the thinking of the mind. And the shift occurs not by shifting your external circumstances in a big way. It can, I suppose, but really in this particular exercise. It's in noticing all the ways that things change around you constantly. And as you do that, you begin to create more change in your own life because you're noticing it more. You're drawing the attention to that. So things can't help but begin to change because you are changing and you are noticing change more. So the changes that the mind, that the ego wants to see, that it perceives as bigger and better, the relationship change, the job change, the where you live, this kind of thing, all changing. Those things can still occur and often do more rapidly. But it's no longer the thing that you're trying to pull in order to show change, in order to create change from a place of desperation. You're already creating the change by noticing change, by experiencing it, by being, by feeling it. And this, in general, will create the changes that you want to see more easily, more rapidly. And they're no longer the thing that will finally save you from your monotonous life. Your monotonous life begins to not be something that is an observance of yours anymore. You're not observing the monotony. You're observing the shift and the change and the expansion and the evolution that's constantly going on. It takes consciousness. It takes a choice, really. You can either choose to continue the pattern, or you can choose to shift. And so I offer this to you as a game to play, as a way to begin to shift patterns without trying so hard to shift the pattern. It's just a kind of a fun little way that I like to remind the mind that things are different. I'm different. The light is different today. The ants that cross my porch are different today. The sounds I hear are different. The wind is different. The leaves are different. The trees are different. Everything is different. I'm different. My hair is different. Everything is different. My skin cells are different. But it's just, we tend to focus our attention through the egoic patterning of looking at what is seemingly the same, that keeps us in that same pattern that is familiar to the ego and that the ego likes to maintain its sense of control over. So, I offer that to you as a way of encouraging you and giving you yet another game to play to see if it can help you shift patterns out of the egoic conditioning and into something that feels more expansive, more loving, more joyful, more peaceful. So anyway, I hope that you find that helpful, and I will see you on the next video or over on the podcast where all of my videos are available in audio format. There are links below. Much love to you all.